loves, and welcome back to my channel. This is my podcast, Up in the Clouds, here for another episode this week. Hello everyone, how are you doing? I hope you guys are all doing amazing and you're having a really good week. I am having an okay week. It's just been really weird week. I've been kind of sad for no reason. The gloomy weather, I feel like, is getting to me. I feel like I already am having seasonal depression. It's really fun trying to enjoy the moment, trying to really just vibe and find myself and just really be focused on inner peace and happiness and just really trying. So kind of gonna make that into the episode, what to do kind of when your mind is working against you and doesn't want you to be happy. For those who didn't know, I colored my hair a little bit darker for the fall. So yeah, that's really fun. That's about the most exciting thing that I did last week. Actually last week, take that back, I went to Porter Robinson, which was very different from the concert I went to the week before, because the week before that was Sudden Death, which was very two opposite scales. One is very, very intense and very hard, and Porter is obviously very light, but it was kind of nice to have the balance. Porter was very, very magical, I would say the least. It's just, he's very talented, he plays instruments, and he did visuals on the floor, so it was super cool. And then that was Thursday last week, and then Saturday we went to Midas, which was not the best, but made the best out of a bad situation. We tried to have the most fun that we could, regardless of what happened. But yeah, so, and then this weekend, one of my friends is opening for Wales, which is a DJ. It's probably one of his biggest shows that he's opening for, so that's really fun and exciting. So that's where I will be this weekend, supporting one of my friends. His DJ name is El Chopflow. Go follow him on social media. Give us some advertisement. But yeah, so that's what I'll be up to. Just literally have something going on pretty much every single weekend until November, pretty much, and then it's gonna be the freaking holidays, so then I'm just gonna be super busy with that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's going to be a very, very busy time these next few months or so. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, so I guess let's kind of get started. Kind of circle back to what I was talking about. So I have been having really bad weather depression. I don't even know. It's been super gloomy, and I feel like I've just been really sad for literally no reason. I don't feel sad about anything. There's nothing in particular that's happening in my life that I feel I should be sad about. I'm just if anything, it's just past things that are just coming up because I'm sad, if that makes sense. So it's nothing's particularly happening or anything, but I just feel my mind is working against me in a way where I feel I'm trying to be happy, I'm trying to be this and that, and I feel my mind is no, fuck you, you need to be sad, fuck you, no, this, that. So what do we do when our mind is against us? How do we keep staying high, in life, and stay up here when our mind is trying to fight us and keep us in a lower vibration? I guess I'm learning with you guys as well. I'm trying to practice what I preach. So basically what I've been trying to do is really just do things that make me happy. So today, I ate my favorite food. I went to a Halloween store. I took a lunch. On my lunch break, I ate, my lunch, and then I went to a Halloween store and I bought some stuff for my costume because I love Halloween so much. So I thought that would cheer me up, and it really did. It made me feel so much better. I was just getting excited about things that are coming up. So I feel that kind of helped, because I'm getting out of the funk by thinking there's so many exciting things coming up. There's so many things that are really going to be great these next few weeks, and just really kind of focusing on that, trying not to live in the future, trying to be present, enjoy the moment, but also using the future to sort of ground me, to bring me out of this funk. Like, hey, you got so much exciting shit going on. You got, so much exciting things ahead, like even this weekend, the weekend after that, the weekend after that. And it's just like focusing on the good, and trying to find the things that's like, okay, this sucked, this sucked, this sucked, this sucked, but here was a highlight today, so I'm grateful for this highlight. Or this happened today, so I'm grateful about that. Or just like trying to find like the little highlights in your day to really kind of raise your vibration, even if it's just temporarily. Like really just being like, okay, today fucking sucked, but what was the one good thing about today? What was the one thing that made me smile today? What was the one thing this or this or that? So I'll give you some examples. Obviously, today I really didn't want to work. I didn't really want to be at work. But then I got to work with some really cool people today, and just like people like complimenting me on like my hair. Like, so obviously I did, what was really, really blonde and then went darker. So, people being like, oh, it looks so good. Like, I really, really like it on you. Like, it looks really good. Just like little things like that, like just little compliments, or, being like, oh, so grateful for having nice coworkers that like say something like that. Or just like, they don't even know that I'm having a bad day, but they're making me feel better by the things that they're saying, and they don't even know it, type of thing. So just like things like that, focusing on something good. Like, I was supposed to be a double today, and they didn't need as many servers, and I was in my like funk this morning. So I was like, I don't want to be here. I want to come back later. And so that was nice because I got to have the morning off. I got to have it to myself. I still was like doing other things like errands and stuff that I wanted to do. And then obviously went to the Halloween store. So that was something fun. I was like, you know what, I'm going to take a break, because I was like door dashing, and I was like, I'm going to take a break and just go to the Halloween store, just because like I just need to, feel something happy. And just being in that environment just made me really happy. And just like looking at everything, and then like getting stuff for my costume was really exciting. And yeah, it was just really lifted me up in a way that I needed. And then eating my favorite food for lunch was also great. And just like things like that, like finding the good in a bad situation was what I was trying to do today. So that is obviously temporarily fixed, but let's talk long term. So obviously, if you suffer from mental health, you suffer from your own mind basically kind of working against you, and you kind of, have your own demons that you're facing, and your own battles and struggles. And, when your own mind is working against you, you really have to like really, really do the work and really fight against your own demons, and really kind of like know and trust and believe that you are stronger than them, and you are stronger than whatever that negativeness is around you, and you're stronger than you think you are, because you're still here after everything that you've gone through. And really just kind of remind yourself that you're a fucking badass for being here. So many people just don't survive the things, they don't get to find that light at the end of the tunnel. And you're still here, which means that there was something that kept you here. There's some reason why you are still here, for some higher purpose. And you have things that kept you here, that grounded you here. You got something that led you to want to continue to stay here, and not let your demons win, and let them take you away from this earth, or from the people that care about you and love you. So you are a fucking badass for that. You are so strong, and you should hug yourself right now and just like know that, people may not know what you're going through, but you are fucking awesome for still being here and still fighting the fight. If you are fighting demons that are telling you to kill yourself, and you are still here, shout out to you, because nobody will ever understand when your own mind is telling you to take your life, and you are fighting against it to not, unless you struggle with that, you will never understand what that's like. You will never know. It's something that I struggle with. It's something I know so many people struggle with. And to fight against our own minds is one of the greatest battles that we have as humans to deal with, because our own mind literally works against us. And we have to, any mental health, especially if you have depression and suicidal like thoughts, and struggle with that, you know, your own mind is literally telling you to like unalive yourself. And that's something that nobody knows anything about unless you're dealing with it yourself. It's so hard to really truly grasp and understand what goes through someone's mind like that if you don't know what that's like, you know. So it's really hard, and it's just, I'm super grateful for the people that I have surrounding me, even though they have no idea like what's going on in my life. And when I do open up, they're like, what the, you've been feeling this way and not talking. And it's like so hard for me to open up. I am just like, I want to be the person that everyone else leans on, and I'm not good at leaning on other people. And then I do open up and everyone's like, why haven't you talked to me about this, like blah blah blah. And then I feel bad for not talking to them about it. And it's just like this endless cycle that I put myself through. So working on it about opening up more and just like learning to be vulnerable with my feelings, and that it's okay to feel things that are other than happiness. Like, it's all right, it's okay. So when your mind is working against you, you really have to do the work to not let it overcome you, to not let it take you, to not, you know, let it get you to a place where you let your mind win. You have to fight against your own thoughts and tell yourself that what your mind is telling you is not true. You are beautiful. You are worth it. You are enough. You are so amazing, and you have so much potential on this life. You're not worthless. You know, really kind of like trying to find like one, like, I guess like the biggest thing that is like how you speak to yourself. Like, you need to start, you know, making sure that when you are in a situation where people are complimenting you, that you're learning to take a compliment. That is something that I'm so bad at still. And I just get so uncomfortable when people are talking about anything related to like looks, or like talking about like the way that I look, or like even if it's like good things, I just get so uncomfortable, and it's like I don't want to hear it. But I'm learning to, like, you need to learn to accept a compliment as well, because you can't be confident in yourself if you don't know how to even accept compliments from people. And I just like, my resort is I always like compliment somebody back, so then I like change the subject to get it off of me, and then like people will continue to keep, it's like, please stop talking about me, and it's like so uncomfortable. But like, I gotta learn to be like, thank you, like, and just really accept it. Like, they're not telling me that, like, obviously there are fake people, but most of the time they're not just like saying that to like say it, they're saying it to actually compliment you. And that's what, like, you know, learning to accept and learning to be like, thank you, and just like genuinely accepting a compliment and not being like, no, stop, blah blah blah. And it's like, I do that, like, when people are talking about me, I'm like, no, I'm not, stop it, you're making me uncomfortable. Like, just learning to be comfortable accepting a compliment is one step that you can do. So shifting the way that you think about yourself, talking to yourself specifically, and learning to accept compliments when people compliment you are the two biggest things, because you're changing that mindset of like reflecting to that like self-defeat, like, no, I'm ugly, no, I'm this. You're learning to accept it, which means you're kind of like changing your mindset about yourself. Like, this person thinks this way of me, maybe it is true. When multiple people say the same thing over and over and over and over, it must be true. So why don't I believe it? What, you know, it's our own mind telling us to not believe it. It's our own self being like, that's not true, blah, blah, blah. They're only saying that, da, 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 da. Our own mind is making up all these excuses to not accept the compliment. So just learning how to even accept a compliment from somebody, and just learning to really just change the way that you talk to yourself, because even when you're accepting a compliment, you're kind of telling yourself that they're lying, they don't mean it, this and that. Like, you're creating that reality of like, that people aren't genuine and people are whatever, you know. So when you're telling yourself, like, when you're shifting the way that you're speaking to yourself, and you're telling yourself that they mean it, it's a genuine compliment, and that you are, you know, I am beautiful, I am this, I am that, I do love my natural hair. I do love my eyes. You know, obviously there's people that can be creepy and make you feel uncomfortable, and that's different in itself. But I'm just talking about like a general, like one of your friends like complimenting you on something and you just being like, no, I'm fucking ugly. Or, you know, just the way that you're speaking to yourself, just being very cautious of how you are speaking to yourself. And that's a really good first step to kind of really work on defeating your mind, I guess. You know, you're really telling yourself like, no, you're putting your own foot down and being like, no, I want to shift this about how I feel about myself. So I'm going to tell myself like, no, this is the way I should feel, or like I need to learn to believe what people are telling me, and just like shifting, you know, not saying like things derogatory to yourself, not saying you're fat, not saying you're ugly, not saying like you're you know, or people compliment your skin and you're like, oh, but this, and it's like, no, just say thank you. Oh my God, thank you. That means so much to me. Thank you. Like genuinely accepting compliments, not deflecting, not, you know, arguing with the person and being like, no, I'm ugly. Like, just like, you know, speaking to ourselves changes so much, more than we even realize. It changes so much, even in just a small amount of time. You know, we can really just be like, no, yes, thank you, I do feel really pretty today. Or, you know, just like, even if you have to start with like that, like I feel, not I am, you know, if you're struggling with looks or, you know, whatever, and saying like that you feel handsome, like you are handsome or you're pretty or you're like good looking, like if you're struggling with that, like maybe just start by like, I feel this today, like thank you, I feel really pretty today, that means a lot to me, you know, or I really tried today, or, you know, whatever. And don't go looking for compliments too. Don't, like, when I feel like whenever you're like going to like look for a compliment is when like people don't compliment you. So like whenever you're like not fishing for compliments is usually when people like will compliment you. So just making sure we're not fishing for it, not feeding off that validation either. We're making sure that it's not necessarily focusing on that validation from other people to feel beautiful or to feel what we need to feel to kind of heal what our mind is doing, but necessarily just learning to accept it. We're not seeking it. We're not getting some sort of validation out of it. We are learning to absorb it. We are learning to take what we are being complimented on, and or just making like we're not deflecting it away. We're not doing this or that or whatever. We are learning to accept it and absorb it and learning to believe it. We're not focusing on it. We're not relying on it to feel confident or to feel good about ourselves. It's just like a natural thing that we are like accepting and just learning to speak to ourselves in that way. So just learning genuine compliments from people and just taking them and not deflecting them. That's a really good first step. You know, it's something that I'm trying to get better at as well. Like I said, this is a learning process for me too. I'm trying to practice what I preach, and it's so hard because I have a mind that is so against me, and I've been like researching like certain like disorders, and I'm pretty sure I have like paranoid personality disorder, because I get really in my head and really like almost paranoid that I get these really like awful thoughts that like everybody really doesn't like me and that like people aren't really my friends, and I really like start to hyper focus on it, and then I find all these reasons to like believe that like everyone is kind of like out to get me, and like that they are like only my friends for like this or that, or they're only my friends to like either talk about like bad about me or like spread my life like to other people. And like I'll get so paranoid to the fact where like I'll literally isolate myself from fucking everyone, and then I'm like all alone and then I'm just like feeling that I like am not hanging out with people, so then I'm like basically validating like these like paranoid thoughts, and like, but it's like because I'm choosing that, like I'm creating that reality to like believe it so much. So I don't know, I have like definitely have some sort of paranoid like something. I don't know if it's like an anxiety thing or what, but if you know anything about that, please reach out to me and help me, because I don't know if it's like part of like anxiety, if that's like a normal anxiety thing, or if it's something completely like different from anxiety, but it's fucking awful. I'm swearing so much in this episode. I'm sorry, but I also don't care. If you have a problem with it, don't listen. No, I'm just kidding. No, I do mean that though. Like I care, but I don't care. Like if you care about swearing, I'm sorry. But I really don't. I used to like actually like care and like not swear on the podcast and just really just, but it's just like not myself. Like I don't want to, I'm not trying to like change who I am. I like, that is definitely a word that's in my vocabulary. Vocabulary. What the? See, there it is. That's definitely a word that's in my vocabulary. So I'm not going to like censor myself to please anyone. But yeah, so, okay, that was a rant. But yeah, I just like, if you know anything about that, like hit me up, because I'm learning, and Googling things are never good, and you just like read the worst things possible. So definitely not trying to like Google it or just like keep reading stuff on the internet. So if you know anything, please leave a comment or reach out to me, so that I can figure out what to do and how to fix it, because it's really not fun, and it is just like another part of your own mind working against you, and like I said, isolating yourself from people, because you like really start to believe like what you're telling yourself, because you're like telling yourself it over and over and over, and it gets to a point, just like when you are feeling that way with how you feel about yourself, you're telling it to yourself over and over and over again that you really believe it, and you really truly do. And that's like all part of body dysmorphia, is like you completely see yourself as different than what other people see you as, and you don't see yourself how other people see you. And that's like something that's kind of beautiful when you're learning to like heal from that and learning to combat that, is when you do start to truly see yourself how other people see you, and you're really just like mind blown almost. Like you're like, I feel like a different person, I look like a different person, but it's not even that you are, or you know, your looks changed or anything. It's just the way you looked at yourself changed, and you finally realize what other people have seen in, you know, and you're finally seeing what other people see. It's like everyone talks about these like glow ups or whatever, but it's like really the person is just starting to feel like themselves in their own skin and really see themselves for who they actually are. So it's not necessarily a glow up, it's a glow within. You know, they're finally embracing who they are and what they are, and really just kind of like feeling comfortable in their own skin, so they do look better in pictures, because they're not manifesting that they're going to look terrible because they think so terribly of themselves. Does that make sense? Like when you feel like so down on yourself and so ugly, and then you like are trying to take like a picture or something, and then you're like, every picture I take looks bad because I'm so fucking ugly. But it's because you feel that, you're embodying that. So you're like subconscious is like doing things to make you feel awkward and ugly in these pictures, because your own brain is working against you to be ugly. So then you're going to be ugly. And it's like, then you learn like, and some people just aren't photogenic, but like the majority of the time it's just your own brain telling you like that, if that makes sense. Like no model is going to sit there and rip themselves apart before they go to a photo shoot. They're going to sit there and tell themselves how fucking hot they are. They're going to sit there and be like, you are the hottest bitch alive. They're going to hype themselves up, and then they're going to take the best fucking pictures ever. And, or they have photographers that are sitting there hyping them up as they're taking these pictures so that they can feel good. And then they're like, yes, queen. Oh, beautiful. Like, you know, when photographers are doing that, like that kind of like, you're like, yeah, okay. It like helps you, you know? So making sure that we're our own hype person, we're hyping ourselves up, because at the end of the day, we have to do it for ourselves. We have to hype ourselves up. No amount of another person is going to make us feel what we need to feel besides ourselves. we can't rely on that gratification, that validation from other people, significant other, friends, family. We can't rely on that. That's not solid, and that's not, we are the most solid things about ourselves. We have to learn for ourselves. No one is ever going to be able to fix what's broken inside of us besides ourselves. They may be able to temporarily fix it like glue or like tape, but it's never going to be fully fixed until you work on yourself and you heal yourself and you don't seek. And then when you get to that place, when you don't care what people think, when you're not seeking that validation, when you're not seeking that from someone else, that's the beauty of the growth. And that's the beauty of not having to rely on other people to feel good about yourself, And that's where we want to be. That's the place that we want to get to, is being so confident in ourselves and not having our own minds work against us and telling ourselves things that aren't even true. We're just convincing ourselves so then it's coming true in our reality. We create our own reality, and if you're living in your demons and you're living in darkness, you're creating that darkness, and you need to fight against that darkness, and the only person that can do that is you, and the only person that can fix it is within yourself. And you have to believe that too. You have to believe that you're strong enough to do it. You have to believe that you're strong enough to fight against these demons and tell them to shut the F up, that they are just all we create in our own minds, So just really finding that within ourselves and learning to change just like something as little as the way we talk to ourselves, just learning to speak to ourselves in a healthier way. And even if you don't necessarily think of yourself as pretty, literally lie to yourself. Just like when I talked about that one episode of trying to be happy, and you're literally lying to yourself until you actually become happy. It's same concept, literally lying to yourself until you actually start to believe it, because we all are beautiful. Society is the only thing that creates these standards for people that make them feel not beautiful, but we are all beautiful in our own ways. We are all handsome in our own ways. If you are a male and you don't like the word beautiful, but I think all y'all men are beautiful. I love calling a guy beautiful. He gets, when they're super what's the word, toxic masculinity, and they get so fucking mad, and it's just so funny to me. I don't know, but anyways, finding we are all beautiful in our own ways, and just you looks are just a temporary thing. Looks are just a human thing. Looks don't matter at the end of the day. It's not the only thing. Looks can only get you so far. A pretty face can only get you so far, And that's what we have to believe and what we have to really understand, and just trust that we are beautiful. We're all beautiful. We're all so beautiful and so amazing. And just when you're really believe that and started to embody that, that's when your life is going to feel so much better, because you're not seeking that. You're not talking down upon yourself, and really you're just learning to enjoy the moment. That was so lame, but you get what I'm saying. So I guess recap, speaking the way we speak to ourselves, the way we talk to ourselves, learning to accept compliments from other people, not deflecting and making sure that we're not speaking to ourselves in a bad manner. When it comes to people complimenting us, learning self-love and just really self-uplifting, making sure that we're not only seeking that validation from people complimenting us or whatever, making sure we're not relying on our partner, our best friends, our family to build us up all the time. Then we need to start to learn to build ourselves up as well. So those are little things you can do when your mind is working against you. Obviously, this is going to be a multiple part series. This is not the end, because I'm still struggling really badly with that. And as winter comes, it's really hard for me. It gets really dark. So I'm just trying to get myself out of it before it even happens, because I know darker times are ahead. So really kind of trying to bring myself to the light again before it gets really dark again. in the environment. And so the environment doesn't make me feel dark, you know? So yeah, just working on that with each other. So with that being said, if you ever need anyone to talk to, my DMs are always open. I also have my email linked if you need to talk to somebody. I'm here for you. If you like this episode, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, let me know. If you're not already, subscribe to the channel, and then tap that bell so you get notifications whenever I upload, because I like to do other fun videos besides this podcast. But other than that, I hope you guys have a beautiful weekend and week next week, and I will see you guys next Friday. All right, love you all so much and sending you amazing and good vibes. Love you. Bye.